So the topic tonight is going to be about be, do, have. So we can talk about anything. So I'm just going to start it off with a little few notes on some ideas that I've been kind of sharing been sharing this week. And I think they're really pertinent to us living the life that we really desire, you know? So a big part of that is just being, doing, and having. They're all connected. So I'm Reginald Kuakaru, and or Reginald Martin. Kuakaru is my Kemetic name. So that means instructed soul or master of gnosis. And I help people remove negative Christian programming so that they can live life boldly, authentically, and on their terms. Now, one of the most difficult things I have in front of me is to let people know how amazing learning the Kemetic paradigm is, okay? And those of us that practice it, we're sold on it because we know how it's changed our lives. I mean, it literally, I'm saying literally changed my life and is changing my life, okay? So it's an ongoing process for me. So from the Kemetic perspective, we know we're gods and goddesses in training, okay? And that's not meant to be from a egotistical standpoint. It's just from the African perspective. There is only one creator. The one creator cannot split itself. It only makes from itself the substance of what it is, okay? So if there's one creator and everything comes from that creator, then everything in creation has a seed or is a part of that creator within them or has a seed within them, okay? Everybody, okay? Everything, all right? So we can say that I am a god or I am a goddess, okay? And that's not egotistical. It just means that you recognize that you have an aspect of the creator that is a part of who you are. And I say that again, it's a part of who you are, okay? So it kills me when I hear these I don't know what you call them, the skeptics or the cynical types that say, well, if you're a god, how come you can't snap your fingers and do such and such and such and such, okay? And I'll say again, we are gods and goddesses in training. There might come a day that we can snap our fingers and we do such and such. But if you're in training, that means you're learning. You have to go through some stuff to learn. So if a baby, you wouldn't look at a baby and say, hey, you can't walk and talk, so you're not human. Well, a baby is like, part of their parents or shares DNA with their parents, but that doesn't mean that they are not human because they can't do everything that a grown-up can. It just means that they still got things to learn. So as gods and goddesses in training, we have things to learn, plain and simple, okay? So what I've been talking about this week is the idea of basically using a framework to really move you towards or get you into your training, okay? So that's a really thing. So it's like I would call it a framework of achievement, okay? And it has to occur in anyone's life that is successful at anything. This framework has to happen. We don't think of it in these terms, so I'm kind of giving you a another way to look at it, okay? And there's my daughter. She's in the house. What's going on, daughter of mine? Good to have you. Good to have you. So learning the Kemetic principles will help you first learn how to operate that framework within that framework in a way like nothing else can, okay? Because it doesn't put you in conflict with yourself. So I say that Christianity and Kemetic and the Kemetic paradigm, they are definitely two ways of life. But the Kemetic way of life improves your life. And any of us that has ever been Christian understand how Christianity puts us in conflict with living life. Okay, all the time. It's just something that happens. So the framework that I've been talking about is be, do, and have. Okay, so be, do, and have. It's this simple. It's that simple of a framework. Okay. So this is really putting these amazing teachings in a simple way to grasp it. Okay. So when we say be, being means speaks to your identity. Okay. Your I am. All right. So when you say I am, you are basically speaking to your identity. I am wealthy. Or in the case of a lot of us Black people, what we say is, uh, we'll say something like the struggle is real. So what you're really saying to yourself is, I am struggle. Okay. I am broke. I don't have this. I don't have that. All of the I ams are speaking to a lack of abundance. That's not your truth. Okay. Because you are a God in training, you have access to all the abundance that you want and desire. Okay. But your I am, or your being, has to shift to an identity of abundance. Okay. And not of lack. All right. So do is doing is speaking to the actions that you take so that you can have what you desire. So being, when you become who you're supposed to be, you will have the ability to do and live your purpose. Because that's ultimately when being and doing match, you're living your purpose and you'll gain what you're supposed to have. Okay. So you realize that right now on some part of your life, you desire what you want. Okay. You have a desire. And whatever that may be, it could be a loving relationship, it could be a new house, a business, more money, anything. But what you have right now is there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. There's a gap. I'll say that again. There's a gap from where you are to where you want to be. Okay? So being is input for doing. So in other words, when you are being who you are and living who you are, then you start to do who you are. And when you start to do who you are, living through your purpose, then you have what you desire. Okay? Plain and simple. When the first two match, the third one has to come. Okay? But you have to know who you are. And the biggest issue that people have living their purpose is that they don't know who they are. Okay? You accept what society tells you who you should be, even if every day it is excruciatingly painful. You hate your life. You hate what you're living or the way that you're living. But you learn these ideas that life is supposed to be a sacrifice and you're supposed to suffer. Okay? You just simply live a life of quiet desperation because you don't know any other way. Okay? You don't know any other way. And that's where there's a difference between the Christian way of living, okay, of living life, or the Christian way of telling you how you should live life, okay? Because there's always a struggle between, for Christianity, there's a struggle between being spiritual and fleshly, okay? There's always, they set up this dichotomy there when it never is supposed to be, okay? So the Kemetic principles, with the Kemetic principles, you learn how to become, or you learn to become, okay, which is the original meaning of Genesis, okay? Genesis doesn't mean the beginning, it means becoming. And that's something that is always a process for you, always a process. So when you become who you are supposed to be and you live boldly, authentically, and authentic means from an authentic or original source. The source is known. When you know thyself and you live being who you are, you're living authentically. Then you have the ability to do that unapologetically. When you live unapologetically, you do that without guilt and shame. Because you're doing or you're being who you're supposed to be. You're doing what you love and you're having what you know you're supposed to have because you know you're supposed to be abundant. Okay? When you have those three things, life becomes magical. When you're practicing from your God, goddess self, life is magical. Okay? You gain confidence automatically. You gain confidence in all areas of your life. Okay? You don't live life afraid. Afraid, oh, what if I mess up? No, hey, if I mess up, I learn. So a mistake is not something that you're afraid of. A mistake or a misstep is something that you learn from. That's where what the difference is. When you don't have confidence in yourself, what you end up doing, it makes you so afraid to live that any mistake you make becomes confirmation of your already low opinion of yourself. It's not a learning experience. It's confirmation for your already low belief in who you are. Okay? That's the difference between a person that is confident and a person that's not. A person of confidence will strike out and reach for more because they know even if they don't win in the moment, that they're going to get something from it. They're going to get something out of it that might build a foundation to build something on later. But a person that lacks confidence fears failure. They fear failure because failure becomes confirmation of their already low self-esteem. Okay? Where are you on this scale? All right. If there is this gap between where you are and what you want to be, how do you get there? How do you bridge it? Okay. What framework are you using? If you're still living through the Christian framework, or I'm a sinner, I'm a wretch, that gap is going to stay there. That's your framework that you're living in. You're beating yourself up and beating yourself down. Or do you live from the Kemetic framework of I am a god or goddess in training? Okay. Which one do you think is going to uplift you more? That's a rhetorical question, guys, because you already know. You already know. But it all starts with being or your I am. Okay. It's impossible to do it if you have not become it. And I used an analogy today. And Bernadette, thank you for that $20. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, sister. But if you are an assistant manager, and I'm just using that just as an analogy, okay? Say you're an assistant manager somewhere. In order to get promoted, you have to become a manager before they give you the title. You have to become it before you can be it. Anybody that's on any job understands that principle. Anybody that's ever succeeded understands that they become it before they get the title. Okay? So you have to be it. Then you gain the ability of a manager to do it and accomplish the task. And once you gain the ability, then you have the abundance or you have the more money once they promote you. Okay. It's no different that is no different than any aspect of your life. If you want to make $1 million, you want to become a millionaire. If you're not a millionaire today, then you're going to have to make some changes. That means you're going to have to get some new input. That you're going to have to gain some knowledge. You're going to gain some skills in order to move from where you are to being a millionaire. It's not going to happen any other way. Now, some people are automatically gifted, and they know how to do these things, but it's part of who they are. That gift is just part of who they are. But if you're not, then you have to get some new input. Okay. So until you know who you are, there'll always be a gap between being and who you are today and having what you desire. What do you want to do? Okay. What are you living today? What's the gap that you have that you want to change, but you keep doing the same shit you did yesterday, the day before, last month, and you're expecting different results tomorrow, next year, and the year after? That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing you did yesterday and expecting different results. It doesn't happen. People say that you know where you're going to be. If you know where you're going to be in the next 5 years, if you get no new input and nothing changes financially, the last 5 years that you had is going to be exactly the same as the next 5 years if you do absolutely nothing different. You cannot do the same thing and expect different results. It does not happen. Okay? So be, do, and have. What are you being? What are you doing in order to get what you desire? Have is about your possessions. Okay? What are you being? What's the input that from your being that you're doing to get what you desire or have? Okay? So that's what it's about. All right. Now, if you want to learn these principles, you can go to the African Mind, www.africanmindrewire. So I have a class that's teaching these ideas and giving these foundational principles of be, do, have. Okay. You learn sacred mastery principles, sacred mastery processes, because it is about the processes. We think having is about the event, but it's about the processes that you use to get there. How are you bridging yourself from where you are to going over to what you desire? Okay. That's what it's about.